I'm back. Just a short little video on the notice of rescission thing. People still aren't getting it. I don't want to make it any clearer. A friend of mine said a few years ago, don't free slaves. I'm starting to really wonder about that. But anyhow, look, when we're talking about the notice of rescission, I said very clearly, we're rescinding the signature with respect to me being the applicant. Meaning, I'm not the applicant. The person named on the birth certificate is the applicant, and the birth certificate doesn't identify me. Do you get it now? Hopefully. I got people saying, well, if I'm a Class A truck driver. If I get rid of my license, how am I going to drive truck? I never said to get rid of any of that. I didn't say to get rid of any of it, ever. I said we're rescinding the signature, your signature. This is what this is about. I'm not telling you what to do here, but rescinding your signature with respect to you being the applicant. Meaning you're not the applicant. The person named on the birth certificate is the applicant. And yes, you signed that form, and yes, they're going to say, but you did this. And then what are you going to say to that? Well, I didn't know the birth certificate was not evidence of my identity. Had I known that, I would not have done this. I would have either signed properly so you all knew that it was the person named on the birth certificate is the applicant, or it wouldn't have applied at all. But I'm not saying to get rid of any of this. I'm not saying to get rid of the driver's license, the social insurance number, the social insurance, or the SSN, or passports, or any of that stuff. I'm talking about rescinding your signature with respect to you being the applicant. You're not the applicant. The person named on the birth certificate is the applicant. All we're doing here is clarifying who the applicant is. Yes, your signature's on there, and yes, you did that, but you did that not knowing that the birth certificate is not evidence of your identity. Remember, I said, had I known that, I either would not have applied for a driver's license, or when I signed the application, I would have said I'm doing it for John Paul Smith, the person named on the birth certificate. People say, well, I get rid of all my stuff when I'm going to go do live in the woods. Never said anything like that whatsoever. Never said get rid of any of that stuff. Your signature. The only thing on this equation that is your property is your signature. And you can rescind that signature. And all I'm saying when I say rescind the signature, I'm saying that you're clarifying, look, I'm not the applicant. The person named on the birth certificate, John Paul Smith, or whatever the name is there, that's the applicant. And the birth certificate that doesn't identify you, so you're not the applicant. You get it? Do you get it? Let me put it this way. I had a business in the past called Beck Electronics Corporation. Now, nobody ever treated me like I was Beck Electronics Corporation, but let's suppose somebody started thinking that I was Beck Electronics. That'd be kind of dumb, right? But I have to clarify, no, when I signed the application for Beck, I was signing the application for Beck Electronics. I'm not Beck Electronics. I'm not John Paul Smith. I was doing it for John Paul Smith. Yeah, but you did this, you did that, you did this, you did it. So we just had a Zoom meeting last week, Wednesday. And you people, if you're serious about this, you really want to get the information package so you can partake in those Zoom recordings, because even then people were still going, oh my God, I didn't think of this, I didn't think of that. To me, it's not rocket science. It's exceedingly simple, exceedingly straightforward, but for whatever reason, it's just for some people, it's just not computing. They're looking at it all the wrong way. Maybe it's that slave mentality, I don't know. Got an email from a fellow last week about he got a reply from Canada Revenue Agency that they, you can't, or National Revenue, whatever, they won't cancel the social insurance number. He's on the rescission path, right? Throw back, says, I never said anything about rescinding the social insurance number. I said rescinding your signature with respect to you being the applicant, meaning you're not the applicant. He writes back and says, well, just to clarify, it was the application I wanted to revoke or rescind. I didn't say that either. I said, well, canceling, think about this now, not rocket science. If you cancel the application, you're trying to cancel the sin, right? What everybody said. Never said that. I'm talking about your signature. Rescinding your signature with respect to the applicant, like I'm rescinding my signature that I'm Beck Electronics. If I'm not Beck Electronics, it's just not identifying me as Beck Electronics. When I sign, I don't care how I sign, I'm signing for Beck Electronics. I'm not the applicant. John Paul Smith is the applicant. The person named on the birth certificate is the applicant. Not saying to cancel anything. You're just clarifying the record. The belief is that you're the applicant. The belief is that you're the driver, the taxpayer, all of that sort of stuff. You're rescinding your signature to the extent that, no, it's not me, it's John Paul Smith, the person named on the birth certificate is those things, and that birth certificate doesn't identify me, so I'm not that John Paul Smith. I really hope that this is simple enough for, I don't know, slaves, I don't know. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. People dance around the obvious, like your signature. Here, see that? Signature. That's my property. The social insurance card, the driver's license, none of that's my property. The paperwork that I filled out, none of that's my property, but this is my property, and I can remove this with respect to me, not take it off the form, just clarifying that I'm not the applicant. John Paul Smith, the person named on the birth certificate, is the applicant. That's what I'm saying. Not saying to get rid of any of that stuff. I'm not saying to get rid of the driver's license. I'm not saying to get rid of the social insurance number, the SSN, or the passport, or any of the other stuff you got in your pocket, or the credit cards, or the bank account. None of that. You're just clarifying. Because the presumption is you're the applicant. The presumption is you're the one named on the driver's license, on the social insurance card, on the passport, on all those accounts out there, the bank accounts. You're not. There's no men in the system, right? There's no women in the system. It's the person named on the birth certificate that is in there. So rescind, when I'm talking about rescinding the signature with respect to you being the applicant, it's you're not the applicant. The person named on the birth certificate is the applicant. So if they want to lay charges under the Highway Traffic Act for driving whatever, wherever you're at, you're charging the person named on that account there that came off the birth certificate that does not identify you. I really hope that I don't know how to make it any simpler. I honestly don't. Anyhow, we have Zoom meetings on this every first and third Wednesday of the month, specifically on the rescission stuff. And if you're at all interested in this and how to liberate yourself from the nonsense that you got yourself into, yes, I get it, from a lack of disclosure on the part of the other people, and didn't put the warning on the birth certificate, for example. And there's another thing. Those that do have the warning says, warning, this certificate is not evidence of the identity of the person presenting the certificate. Now, who do you think that warning is for? It's for whoever you're presenting the birth certificate to. The person, listen up. This certificate is not evidence of the identity of the person presenting it. Now, you're not presenting it to yourself, you're presenting it to someone else. And are they making that disclosure so that whoever you present it to knows that you're not the owner? I mean, we don't own any property in the country. That you're not the debtor, you're none of those things, you're not the applicant. It's speaking to the people you're presenting it to. I believe I'm done here. I really wanted to keep this short. It's already longer than I wanted it to be. I'm just exceedingly dumbfounded by the comments I'm getting from people and the feedback I'm getting from people. We're talking about your signature. Right now, it's believed that you signed, you're the driver, you're the person named on the birth certificate, you're the person named on all those accounts out there, the debtor accounts, the criminal accounts, the civil charge accounts, whatever. It's the person named on the birth certificate. It's that. So when we're talking about rescission, we're talking about rescinding your signature to overcome the belief that you're the applicant, that you apply for the driver's license and you're the one named on the driver's license. You really want to get our information package. You want to get clear on this. God love you. God bless. Light of God never fails. Till next time. Take care. So once you know what I'm talking about here, you go down the road, cop pulls over, you show him the driver's license. You may or may not say anything to him. It doesn't really matter. He's not the one. He's not the adjudicator. You might be able to convince him that, well, it's not me, but they also like to hurt people, so I don't promote that kind of stuff. But the prosecutor to the court, you get the ticket, just accept it, and you send it in. Yeah, well, I'm not the applicant. John Paul Smith is. Yeah, I know you're all thinking I'm the applicant, but I wasn't aware that the birth certificate's not evidence of my identity. So had I known that, I would have done things differently. But I'm letting you know that now that I know the birth certificate's not evidence of my identity. It never is, was, or will be. And I'm not the person named on the driver's license. That's why I say you wanted the clarification on this. You really want to get your information package so you can partake in those Zoom meetings, or at least listen to the recordings afterwards. One other thing, a friend of mine, his aunt used to be the Minister of National Revenue here in Canada. I forget her name. Somebody mentioned it last night. But anyhow, here's what she said. She says, all we look for when they get the tax returns and all that stuff, all they look for is the signature. Nothing else, the signature. That's what's drawing it to you, because it came off from your hand. You see, you signed, and the belief is that you're the person named on that social insurance or SSN or driver's license. It's the person named on the birth certificate. So when I'm talking about the signature, I'm talking about the signature. When you did this, not the forms. But that's all they look for is the signature. So that's why I'm talking about rescinding the signature with respect to you being the applicant. I'm not the applicant. I never was the applicant. John Paul Smith is the applicant. And you all want to know, certain circumstances are going to arise. That's why I say, in the last meeting, I said to people, you say this kind of stuff, let's say you're in court. I'm not saying you got to go to court. I don't know. But I always look at it this way. If I had to go to court, what's my chances of being successful? If I could beat him in court, then I'm good, right? Then nothing else matters. That's just the be-all, end-all kind of thing. So if you can be successful there and you know you will be in your mind, well, then you're good to go. But I covered all these contingencies. You bring this up in the court, and they're going to say, well, yeah, but you apply for the driver's license. What are you going to say? You're going to say, but that's your signature's on the application for the social insurance card. It's in this SSN. It's on the back of the card. It's on the credit card. It's on the bank account. What are you going to say? It's really easy, but what are you going to say? So we just talked about that last Wednesday, and last Wednesday's notice of rescission Zoom meeting, and hopefully the one we have this week. People ask about that. I want to know what they would say. That tells me where they're at in their head with respect to this notice of rescission stuff. It's really, truly not rocket science, and I'm not suggesting you change anything. On the face, everything looks exactly the same. You just keep doing the same stuff. You get pulled over. Here's a driver's license, blah, 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 blah. You present these things. But there comes a time when you want to make it clear, by the way, I'm not the applicant. You know, I was not informed of the birth certificate. It's not in my evidence of identity, blah, 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 blah. Had I known that, they wouldn't have done this. You see, that's just going to shut the door immediately. And like I say, if you're not the person named on the driver's license, where are they going to go? They can't stick the charges anymore to you. See, this whole thing about getting us to sign stuff was so they could draw on their labor and take the property. This is circumventing all of that because of a lack of knowledge. They didn't make the disclosure. They also didn't say that the birth certificate is evidence of your identity, so they got the plausible deniability aspect. So there's no point here pointing fingers. Just deal with the truth of it. You really want to, like I say, if you really want to get your ass out of Dodge, then consider getting your information package and partaking in those Zoom recordings. I'm done. I'm done. Later, God never fails. Love you. God bless. Ciao. Now, the whole point of this exercise is so that you get the liability off your back. You're not the person named on the driver's license, on the SSN, on the tax forms, on the passport, on whatever else you got, your bank account, all that sort of stuff. It's not your debt, not your liability. So you're not the debtor. Not the debtor, citizen, slave, trustee, I guess is a better way to put it. But before you take action on some of these accounts, you really want to think it through, and that's why I suggest you get involved in our notice of rescission Zoom meetings. Cover a lot of stuff there. It's really simple, but just got to get through crack some of these nuts here. So yeah, it's about so you're not the John Paul Smith named on all of this stuff, then you're not the debtor. You have no liability. That's what this is about, to get that liability off your back, all that legal mumbo jumbo off your back. We got there by a lack of knowledge and signing these forms the way we did. It's to rectify all of that right across the board, or as far as you want to go with it. You can just do one thing or do it all. It's up to you. And furthermore, I know I said I was done. That's just an afterthought here. But anyhow, all of this right here with respect to the birth certificate not being evidence of your identity, if you're going down the reclaim your securities path, that's an exceedingly helpful little piece of knowledge there to help you with that. Big time. Anyhow, I'm done. This time I'm done. I'm just done. Done. Love you. God bless. Later. God never fails. Keep smiling. Ciao. Obviously, when I say I'm done, it doesn't mean a thing. One last little tidbit. So you're taking away the jurisdiction that they have over you and your family. When you're not, remember I talked about one of the previous videos about how in the United Nations on their UNF 75, where it is in the vital statistics system. This is all United Nations stuff. You read that document. I don't have it on to show you here, but UNF 75, I think it was, on civil registration, vital statistics. You read that document, very extensive. You can see that they're creating a mirror image legal family, a fictional family. That's what they have jurisdiction over. That's all the John Paul Smiths and all the names on the birth certificate we've all identified ourselves as. So this whole process, aside from getting out of liability, is to take away their jurisdiction. I'm done. Love you. God bless.